All right, guys, that'll do it. Game just went final on my screen like 30 seconds ago, 51-29. The Seahawks, they did their thing today. They got a win. They took care of business. Not a whole lot to say other than just that, but for a day, we got to be kings again, right? For a day, we got to pretend like we were one of the best teams in the league. This was the kind of game that we would have had back in 2013 or 2014. Just a game where you roll into a game against a much weaker opponent and you just completely take the air out of them. And by the second half, you're almost running the clock out. So even though we're not that team anymore and we all know it, it was good to see us be that team for 3 hours today. So I'm happy about that. Not happy about everything that happened out there. We'll get to that. I mean, nothing really to do with this team for the most part, but I'm sad. If that was Bobby Wagner's final home game as a Seahawk, then him to go out like that sucks. I know he deserves better than that. I know he deserved to go out at Lumen Field better than that. Now, hopefully he can get back on the field next week for the Cardinals game, so that can be his last game as a Seahawk period, and he can actually play in it. But if that is indeed the last home game in Wagner's Seahawks career, then that's a tragedy. That is for sure a tragedy. And there were a couple other things that have me scratching my head a little bit, but we controlled that whole game, ran the ball all over the Lions. Passing game was efficient. Offensive line was good. The defense was opportunistic. They made big plays. They held Detroit back for most of that game. A lot of Detroit's points came when the game kind of felt like it was over. A lot of their big drives came when the game felt like it was basically over. About the worst I can say for this game is I don't know about some of the special teams, but even that, it's just little nitpicking stuff. And of course, it is the Lions. I understand that. This is not some come to Jesus moment for this team. This is not some come to Jesus moment for this organization. We played a really bad team at home, and by the way, a very bad team at home that was injured, extremely injured. But we did good. We did just about everything you could ask for. There isn't that much to say about this one other than that it felt good to pretend like you were, again, one of the best teams in the league. Again, these were the kinds of games that we played back 10 years ago when we were kings of the NFL, when we were kings of the division, kings of the conference. And we're obviously not that now. We're at the bottom of our division. But for a day, for 3 hours, we get to pretend. Some things from this game that really stand out to me. Obviously, there was some creativity with the play calling. Not a lot, but a little bit. I like the way our running game involved a little bit of like pre-snap motion and some fakes. Like we did this in the Colts game, and I feel like I haven't seen a whole lot of it since then. And today I saw it where you would have a wide receiver coming in motion behind the line of scrimmage as a running play is called. So you've got an extra thing for the defense to be thinking about. And you saw a couple of plays today where we actually did give the ball to that wide receiver. Granted, Eskridge's play was basically the last play of the game, the 30-yarder. But if we can establish that possibility in the back of these defenses' brains, then that's going to lead to very positive things for this offense. I think you got to implant the understanding that hey, Eskridge or Lockett is going in motion through the backfield at the time of the snap on a running play. You don't know if Penny's going to get it or if Lockett or Eskridge is going to get it. You got to be aware of that. So I really liked that. Ooh, ESPN trying to get me in trouble here. Nope, 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 nope. Not having it. But yeah, that stood out to me. That's something that if we do decide to run this back a little bit, if if we do decide we're just going to bring back these coaches, we're going to bring back these players, which is still possible. If we do decide that, that is something that can give you some degree of encouragement going forward. And I mentioned Penny back there, so yeah, I got to talk about it. He played great. And again, it's the Lions. They have a terrible run defense. They can't stop the run. But I would take that rushing attack almost 270 yards against pretty much any team ever. Even like even if we were playing like a college team, I would look at a game like this and go, "Wow, we ran the ball all over them. I'm impressed." So, look, if John and Pete come back, Penny's getting extended. Now, I don't know what that extension is going to be. He's obviously earning a little extra money with every positive carry he has, but I can't run from it anymore. And you know what? I'm not dreading it. I'm not dreading it. Rashad Penny, he clearly can play. The concern with him has always been his health, and you can give him a contract that makes it so that if health does flare up for him again, it's not the worst thing in the world. But that right side of the offensive line, man, I can mess with those guys. I don't know if Gabe Jackson's going to be here next year, but if he is, and he is playing right guard again along with Curhan, which seems very likely at this point, then we got something there. The passing game was efficient, like I said. Russell Wilson played a good game. Made a couple of errors early in that game, but as time went on, I think he really worked himself into a nice rhythm. Metcalf got the ball. We actually got some really nice trust throws from Wilson to Metcalf in this game, where Wilson just needs to put it up and let Metcalf go up in a one-on-one situation for it. And this game, it wasn't 10 yards over his head. It wasn't right into the back of the defensive back. It gave Metcalf an opportunity to go get it. And this game he did. Lockett had a pretty productive game, which always good to see. Not a huge game or anything, but he did positive things out there. Everett had a bad drop, but he played fine. He picked up some third downs for us. Freddie Swain, I don't know what to say about Freddie Swain other than nobody can beat a busted coverage like Freddie Swain. He's not really good at anything else, but he can catch a big play on a busted coverage like nobody's damn business. Now, one thing I'm going to say about this offense that's both a positive and a negative going forward, I got to mention this. I got to bring this up. Phil Haynes was awesome today. Phil Haynes played an awesome game. He was a big part of the reason why our rushing attack was so productive. So, on the one hand, that's cool to see. Now, we know that Phil Haynes struggles to stay healthy, so that's going to be a concern going forward. But regardless, he balled out. However, it needs to be said that where was Phil Haynes earlier this year? Why was he not playing instead of, I don't know, Kyle Fuller? Why was he not playing instead of Curhan when we had to play Curhan out of position for a couple games against the, I think it was the Vikings and the Niners, something like that. But why was he languishing on our practice squad so Kyle Fuller and his completely worthless ass gets to just get completely trucked in every game that he plays, on pretty much every snap? So, honestly, and I don't want to commit too much because of one game, and I know he's injury prone, but Phil Haynes to me looked like a starting caliber player in the NFL. And the fact that it took us this long to play him is very damning to me. And I got to point it out before we get out of here. Like, what was up with that? Why would you not let him play at the very least while Damian Lewis is missing time? So that discourages me. It really kind of reminds you that sometimes this team just gets it in their head that player X is better than player Y and no amount of evidence can move them off it. But that's something that should have been handled a while ago. Defensively, it wasn't amazing or anything. Detroit's offense is pathetic at this point with their quarterback out. They got offensive linemen out. They got DeAndre Swift back in this game, I think, but they're missing a bunch of stuff. So stopping them is not really an accomplishment, but we did well. Most of Detroit's points came when this game was effectively over. Like, when we were up 31-7 at halftime, I had no fear that we were going to lose this game. Even when they scored those 2 touchdowns, I was just like, there's no way. There's no way. And there was no way. We took care of business for the rest of the game after that. And to me, I liked seeing the turnovers. We got 3 turnovers. First 3 interceptions by a cornerback for the Seahawks this year. DJ Reed, who's had a great year, he deserves those 2 interceptions. He's played really well this year, and the interception gods have just not been rewarding him. He got rewarded today. Ugo, I think that's his first career interception, so good for him. He's not really a player that I covet that much going forward. He's not a player who I think very much of, but he got a pick, so good for him. I'll take that. The run defense was mostly okay. The only thing that really got to us in this one was Monroe St. Brown. That guy's going to be a problem. I liked him in the draft, by the way, and don't think I've forgotten that. He was a guy who slipped all the way to the 4th round. I would have loved to have picked him up. Now, granted, I don't know if he would have a ton of room on a team like this right now compared to a team like Detroit where he's getting 10 targets a game. He wouldn't be getting that here. But he was a problem for this game. We definitely had issues with him. But other than that, I'm happy. QB pressure was not ideal, but honestly, Tim Boyle did a pretty good job getting the ball out of his hands. So I'm not too discouraged on that. I saw Taylor make a couple of nice plays. I know Dunlap left this game with another toe injury. Shut that dude down. Like, I think at this point we can very reasonably state that the reason why Carlos Dunlap was struggling so much earlier this year was the toe injury. So now that he's got another one, we just need him to get better for next year. We got to take a look at some young guys. At this point, I assume Dunlap's coming back next year because there are no real savings to not keeping him. So let's see some new stuff there. I think I saw Alton get in the backfield once or twice, which is obviously a positive. Quandre Diggs maybe got a little too juiced up to play his former team. I saw him miss a few plays out there, but nothing terrible. So overall, the defense played fine. I'm not worried about the 3 second-half touchdowns because I never felt like this game was really at risk. Obviously, when you're playing a team like the Detroit Lions with a bunch of backups in, if you truly have an elite defense, it's going to completely shut the other team down, and that's not what we got today. But I'm not reading a whole lot into that. I'm just not. Okay, so the only real downer for me on defense, and to be clear, I did notice a couple things. Like, even though DJ Reed had 2 interceptions, I thought he got picked on a little bit in this game. I thought that Amadi got picked on a couple plays in coverage. I'm not really talking about stuff like that because that's just what's going to happen when you take such a commanding lead early in a game that the other team is just kind of forced to start going into go, go, go mode on offense where they're just passing the ball every play. They're going for it on every 4th down. That stuff happens. But the biggest bummer was obviously Bobby Wagner. 1 play, of course. In a season like this, of course, in his final home game potentially as a Seahawk, he plays 1 snap and then goes out and doesn't come back. Some kind of knee injury. I don't know how bad it is. We'll get word on that later. But that sucked. And when you think, at the end of the day, this game, win or lose, doesn't matter that much. I'm happy we won. I'm happy so many things looked good. That was cool and all. But I wanted to see Wagner get to play in his final game. Now, put that to the side for a second here because I want to get the sentimentality out of the way to address one thing. Cody Barton played a good game, I think. Cody Barton, you saw him make some plays that Wagner would not have made because Wagner's just slower than Barton at this point in their careers. Barton's just quicker. He's not better, but he's quicker. And Barton made some nice plays in this game. I thought he played aggressively, assertively. Honestly, I don't want to read too much into one game, but Cody Barton, if he plays like that going forward, he can be part of this team, which is something that I had written off completely at this point. I thought the book on Barton had been written, but Barton played solid football today. I can't say anything bad about that. Aggressive, he made plays in the backfield. He got what should have been a holding call on one of the Lions' big plays on a QB blitz. Very happy with his performance. Very impressed given what I saw last time he was out there. Jordan Brooks, I thought he played a solid game against the run, good tackling, and we're going to need him. We're going to really need him going forward because for all we know, Wagner is actually done, as in Wagner's never going to play another snap for the Seahawks. Hopefully he can play in the next game just for sentimental reasons, but it's possible that it truly is the Jordan Brooks show now. I can't think of too much else to say about the defense other than that. They played fine. Not too down on him, not too high on him. It was just pretty solid performance. And yeah, that's really the story of this game. Jason Myers made his kicks. He's had a bad season, but that was a good game for him. Good for him. Hope that makes him feel better on his way to the free agency pool this offseason because I gotta believe that guy's gone. But could be the last great Jason Myers game in Seattle. And that probably doesn't mean anything to anybody because it's not like he's a legendary Seahawk, but he had two pretty good seasons, so not here to hate. And yeah, it just overall, I know this win doesn't really mean anything. I know it's a terrible opponent. I get all these things, but at the end of the day, we got to pretend like we were one of the best teams in the league again. Period. We got to pretend like we were it was back in 2013, and we're squaring up against teams like the 49ers and the Panthers, the other teams that were elite back then. And that's really all I got for this one. Good game, good performance. I don't know, the Wagner thing, first defensive snap of the game, really threatened to just take me out of this one. But then the team did so many positive things that I was okay. I kind of forgot about that by the end of this one. So let me know what you guys think. Could be the last hurrah of the 2021 season. Next week we got a Cardinals team that may have something to play for, and quite frankly, if they have something to play for, I don't know what the hell we do in that game. But let me know if you think I missed anybody to talk about. It was just a solid game overall, and as it looks like we are headed towards an offseason where we see a lot of changes with the roster, but not so much with the coaching staff and front office, this game, I don't know if that really helps with that, is the thing. Like, it helps me looking at players like a Jordan Brooks and a Cody Barton and guys who are definitely going to be here next year for one reason or the other. I'm looking at this and going, hey, if they're here next year, based off what I saw today, I'm encouraged. But other than that, it's just a good game. That's really all I got. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Go Hawks. There will be a stream tonight. It's going to be probably a little later than usual. I might end up doing two streams where I do one today and one tomorrow. I don't know. But I got something going on tonight. Cannot stream during the second half probably, but I will stream when I can. See you guys later. Go Hawks.